We have a couple different styles of starting positions for high jumpers. Typically what we want to do is we want to find what's most comfortable for the high jumper, one that actually works in the direction that we in order to set them up into good posture. If they're not in good posture at the start, the whole approach is going to be thrown off. So we want to make sure out of the back that it's something that the athlete is comfortable with, but it also sets them up into almost that perfect posture leading out. Typically the first few steps, we have to accelerate. We have to get some speed. Sometimes it's 3 steps, but typically the first 2, we are pushing, we are generating speed. So our starting position can vary from athlete to athlete. What we're always trying to work in the high jump, the best high jumpers, the best athletes in general, they're very consistent. So the first approach that we're going to show you is just a basic static start, meaning they're not jogging in, they're not walking in, they're going to do or skipping in, they're going to do a static start. So Chris is going to show you a static start. And what we're looking for in a static start is his body positioning, and his first 2 steps have to be in somewhat form of an acceleration pattern for, like, say, a sprinter or something. They have to come out pushing on those first 2 steps. Okay, go ahead. Good. And that's actually really good. Fortunately, Chris, with his experience in the decathlon, understands good acceleration and posture. So for decathletes and even heptathletes, I like to use a lot of static starts. A lot of open high jumpers, we don't do a lot of work with acceleration necessarily, or hard post work out of blocks or even from 3-point stances. It's not really that necessary. However, we can do other stuff to get him in good posture without putting a lot of emphasis into that acceleration posture. Fortunately, like I said, Chris already understands that. So we're going to use Autumn here for the next one. Autumn's going to demonstrate, and this is actually her approach. We have found that she'll accelerate better when she has a little momentum into her start. So notice she's going to take 2 big steps back. We only keep in the high jump, we are only allowed 2 marks. We can always use a mark at our midpoint, for instance, when they start the turn. And how I usually say that is, and we'll talk more about that approach here later, but for the purpose of her starting position, she took 2 big strides back. What she's going to try to do is strike that mark that she has down, and that is going to help her accelerate into those first 2 steps. Go ahead. And we have found with Autumn, that actually helps her consistency with her walk-in approach. And I do think that is very valuable with kids who don't know how to start from a deeper position and really set their hips in order to accelerate on those first 2 steps. So a walk-in is not a bad idea, even to help with some consistency with athletes that don't do a lot of sprinting, coming out of blocks, 3-point starts. A walk-in is a good idea to set hips and accelerate from those first 2 steps. It just allows for a little bit of momentum. Now the third style here that we're going to show you is a more aggressive approach. This one, to get consistency, is difficult because the bounds and the push have to be dialed in for him to create the consistent distance to his turn, consistent distance from the bar. Everything is going to be dictated by those first 3 or 4 pushes out of the back. But he is going to do a little modified approach, and here's how he's going to find it. He's going to take that same mark, and he has this dialed in. And this is something Colin practiced. He practiced to create consistency with it, but it also sets him up so that his first 4 steps can be an even more aggressive push. He can create more speed. He can be in better body posture for those first 3 or 4 steps in order for us to get to a position where we can actually start running the turn and hitting good posture.